So we're still in the Ark, I think. Quite frankly, I don't know where I am right now.
We are still in the Ark.
A lot going on in this game.
Last we saw our heroes, we had just owned Sid and saved before we got in an elevator going down.
I do want to talk about those elevators too.
We gave Sid Reigns some Sid pains to deal with.
Indeed we did.
That's right, Curtis.
That's right, Curtis. We sure did, and pain he did feel. I do want to talk about the elevator, though. It's a very classic video game trope that I saw, and I was very, very excited about. And then, like, kind of disappointed by, but, you know, like, imagine, if you will, you're playing through Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 4 or whatever, Turtles in Time, on the Super Nintendo, and you get to an elevator and a bunch of enemies just keep jumping on. You got to keep fighting them as you wait for the auto-scroller to go.
Oh, the Ocean Palace from Chrono Trigger, that's right.
Yeah, exactly. It happens here, not really to very good effect. There's like one battle on it.
It's like one battle,
I think,
which
you can
I respect.
avoid it the whole time. But I was expecting like a little bit of an enemy gauntlet on the elevator. There was only like one encounter, and then you're at the next level. I'm like, oh, okay.
My favorite thing about that single encounter is that a shadow appears to show you where the enemy is going to fall, and if you just stand below it, you get a preemptive strike.
Oh, that's so good. I think I saw Ninnies doing that part in the speedrun, and just pops a Deceptisol and just stands in the corner.
Hides in the corner.
And they just it's the bird enemies, right? Like the Stinky and the Stanky or whatever.
I think there's two elevators that it happens on. There's a bird enemy and there's a bomb.
Correct. Yeah. So the first one's the bomb.
The Circuitrons.
But I just remember seeing the birds like dancing around as Nin's just kind of hung out there. Then he gets off the elevator, runs back in to put the Deceptisol back into his pocket after retrying the battle, but he's already on the next side. So
I like that, like, we and everyone, like speedrunners or people who just enjoy FF13 in general, all call them the bird enemies, but like technically they are demons is their class, which is brutal and cool. Like, oh my god, demons, but they're just the bird enemies.
Yeah,
Agreed.
but I mean, we're also talking about, like, Japanese
Are they the Christopher
lore
of this game?
Yeah, where's the Christopher? We're talking about Japanese lore type demons where, like, that's, what the fuck isn't a yokai at this point? Like, there's a fucking umbrella yokai that they put in Super Mario Land 2, Legend of the Six Gold Coins or whatever.
Oh my god, I forgot about that.
Yeah, I just remember, like, as
everywhere.
a kid seeing those and being like, oh, goofy, like, oh, haunted umbrella, how silly or something. And then being like, oh no, that has, like, actual historical context in Japan. Like, I was just a dumb kid.
It's like an eyeball on it.
Yeah.
Goofy.
And the music goes dun, 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 dun. Dun, 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 dun,
Yo, Jason
dun,
Voorhees
dun,
is in
dun,
that game
dun.
too.
Right. It's just like a Voorhees Goomba.
Yeah, it's really good.
Which has cultural significance in America, so it's really the same thing.
That is the American yokai, Jason Voorhees of Voorhees, New Jersey.
That's right. So we're on the Ark.
So we're on the Ark. We're still being tested
And also, this is the
by-
Every FNFF podcast, so it's fine. Don't worry about it.
I'm Carl.
Oh, you, Curtis.
If you don't know who we are, turn back now.
If you do know who we are, how have you not turned back already?
Yeah.
We gave you all the signs.
Give
I'm Alex.
you all the signs, Mr. Police. But yeah, if you're excited about how cool this area was last week, we got really good news for you. It's more and more of the same because you can't, why change a good thing? It's all the same hallways. The numbers change a little bit.
They nailed the hallway in one go.
Yeah, right.
But yeah, we're still being tested by, the Fal'Cie or whatever to hone our l'Cie powers or whatever lore significant reason they gave us for being stuck in this box filled with a bunch of random encounters that keep refreshing.
They don't give you any chance to test out like Duolingo or something like that, where you can just take a more advanced test first and not have to do all the hallways. It's fucked up.
Yeah, where's the AP class for l'Cie?
Yeah, these credits don't transfer, baby. It's a non-accredited course you took there.
But yeah, we fight our way through, we take an elevator down, fight some bombs, we go through a hallway, go through that big silo section, and actually on the topic of this area, because I recently got the Ultimania between episodes, I guess, recording, I came to the realization that pulse technology is basically just Earth technology.
I have so much to say about that once we get to Erba.
Yeah, it's just wait a second, because I was looking at Ultimania, and they were like talking about how like they designed the arc to be kind of feel more familiar to like us, the player, since everything in like Cocoon lore and stuff has been so like fantastical and kind of unfathomably like complex in design. But literally, we just wake up in a subway tunnel, and it's like based on an actual like overflow like tunnel in Japan, and so it's supposed to just feel familiar to us. So it's like, oh wait, maybe there's something to this of how like Pulse is maybe just simple unfalsified, falsified culture, maybe. I don't know.
Falsified.
Well, I thought, and this is wrong, this is not correct. So if you're listening to the podcast and you're like, oh, that's a great idea, it's not good because it's not right. But when I was younger, I thought that the twist was that Pulse was Earth.
Oh my God.
I was like, what the fuck?
I was wrong.
Yeah, it was Earth
all along. You finally made a lassie out of me. Yes.
But yeah, we fight the same things. We come up on there's a few. Is this when like those ambush rooms start popping up? Because we come into like a hexagon shaped room, and then like big silos come out, and like circuitrons and soldiers come charging out. We can just weave by them if we want.
I like that you can just like weave by them, or B, if you do choose to fight them, they all pour into the room at once, but they still like are fought in their own separate battles as separate groups. And I was like, oh, thank God, because if they all hit me at the same time, I'd be fucked.
Yeah, that would be just game over, easy.
So it's very polite of them to kind of come at us one at a time that way.
Yeah, I think they kind of stagger that in too, where like first the ambush room happens where just some of the bomb type enemies come out, the circuitrons, and then the next one might be like the pulse work knights or whatever, and then we get some of enemies fighting one another, right?
Yeah, there's one, I think, watching Ninnies and Zwans like work on it, it's like the hardest. I think they say it's like one of the hardest dodges in the room because it has a bunch of those bird demons fighting a behemoth.
Oh yeah.
I have a question for you all. I think it might be my own insanity, but I feel like earlier in the game, when I would get into a fight that had two enemies already fighting each other, they would actually fight them amongst themselves in the battle. But now when I fight them, they both just turn on me at the same time. And I'm like, so has it always been that way?
I'm glad you brought that up, because we are getting to a point in the game where that does happen more and more frequently. Like, it's a mechanic that I literally forgot about because it's been so long since we first saw it and it was first introduced. And when they first introduce it, it's like very much like training wheels thing. Like, you can just stand back and watch them fight. Like, you don't have to worry about it and stuff. But like, the further you get in the game, it doesn't really work like that anymore. And like, the enemies will just be aggressive to you as well. So like, there's certain points where you see like a behemoth fighting some like enemies and you're like, oh shit, like this is gonna be easy, I'll just let them kind of do the work on each other first, and then they just all turn at you at once and you're like, well fuck, what's the point of this mechanic?
Yeah, exactly. Okay, I didn't know if I was crazy or like that's actually happening. I was like, is my game broken?
Next chapter I found one where I did feel like I was actually teaming up on an enemy with another enemy working for me, and it was kind of cool. So I'm curious where the stats lie, like if it has something to do with like how strong you are versus one of the enemies. If they see you as a bigger threat, will they like turn you first or something like that? Are they thinking the same thing we are? We're like, oh yeah, I'm going to take out the stronger guy first.
I don't think it's that. I don't think it's like that intentional or anything. I think it's literally just like it's later in the game, and the game assumes that you're good enough at the battling system that they're just like, no, these enemies aren't just gonna like sit by and do the work for you anymore. I don't think it's like scanning you and being like, okay, this person has proven that they can take on both of them. I don't think the game is that kind to the player.
I thought you were gonna say like, I don't think it's that intentional. I think this game just sucks.
No.
Like, this mechanic just blows.
I've gone on the record saying this game does in fact not suck. And I'm
is in fact
by
very
it.
good.
Yeah, I've been playing a lot of it recently, and in terms of story progress, I've made like maybe half an episode's worth of progress beyond what we're talking about today. But I've been playing it so much, and I fucking love it.
To pull the curtain back on how we're doing the podcast right now, we usually play like the section that we're gonna talk about that week, so we have like a fresh like mind on it. And all three of us have just been like, oh, this game is so good, I'm just gonna play like 10 hours ahead. So we've all put in just like shitloads of time into this game, just having fun.
It's nice that there's like side stuff coming up that we can kind of just mill around for a while before progressing.
Yeah, a lot of people have complained about this game being a quote-unquote hallway simulator, and next chapter it's going to open up in a big way, and I feel like anyone who had complaints like that might regret complaining about it because I'll be like, oh my god, like Monkey's Paw Wish activated. There's so much shit to do now.
For me, organizing like the script, it's being like, oh, how am I going to organize this? Because there's there's cutscenes that happen like out of order now because of there's different areas coming up. But again, we're hopping ahead. But
everyone who's coming to talk about it like to us at different points, they're like, yeah, I'm really wondering how you guys are going to tackle the next section on the podcast. And it's like, cool. So so are we. We're also wondering. We're gonna wing it and figure it out. And
both Carl and I were playing through those sections like literally an hour ago.
So either way, though, we get to the end of this section. Like y'all said, it's more of the same.
Yeah, there's a part where you can like go off and find like fight another berserker kind of as a mini boss. And I think it's in one of those ambush rooms, and there's like an item in there. I forget what that item is though.
Yeah, I can pull up what that
is. It was
a
weapon, wasn't it?
It was actually just 3 electrodes. Okay.
Oh, 3 electrodes. Never mind.
That seems valuable.
So eventually we come to a dead end, right? Like we
passed a room with 2 berserkers we can save, and then we end up outside.
Yeah, outside of the Ark.
Are we outside the Ark, or is it just like I'm not sure where the Ark begins and like
I think that we're outside of the Ark. I think we're in like some of the patchwork of Pulse of Cocoon at this point, where we hear
it feels like if this was an Ark, this actually feels like a residential area because it doesn't look like Cocoon architecture. So
it doesn't. That's why I was thinking maybe it was like because we hear that the Ark the Arks are hidden on Pulse.
It feels like Deep Ground because it's just like collapsed buildings and stuff everywhere.
Yeah, well, when we see the kind of buildings that are here coming up too, because we've heard before that the Arks were supposed to be scattered around Pulse. We've heard that when Cocoon was damaged, chunks of Pulse were used to patch it up. And so we see what we'll learn as Pulse architecture here. And the Ark is here. So I was like, okay, this must be part of the damaged Cocoon because all this stuff is there. Because it's a little bit different than the architecture we've seen thus far.
Yeah, it just looks like standard, like crumbled city.
It looks like a Soviet block housing, I think.
Yeah, it's very brutalist, so it's very cool.
Yeah.
Good old concrete.
What'd you guys think about the door that we just came out of?
It's nice looking. Oh yeah, the way it like slides open.
It's like a
tumbler where you have your hot coffee in. You like spin the lid to sip the coffee out of.
Yeah, absolutely. It reminds me of some like nameless or names not coming to mind, at least like toy from like a kid would play with where you like turn it and it's something like it's
and cut your finger off.
Yeah.
That's a cool. I'm sure this thing is a fallacy as well.
Yeah, everything's a goddamn fallacy.
Yeah, I found it recently. The Palamacia is a fallacy. So and there's actually a fucking face on it.
Yeah, I didn't realize.
Damn. I think we talked about it, about seeing the Palamacia carrying in the vestige, right? Because I just was going through data logs, doing a little bit of cleanup, and I was like, oh yeah, that's actually what brought it through Bodum or whatever. I'm like, oh yeah, cool.
But yeah, we pop out on the outside of, I guess, the Ark to the inner. Oops, it looks like a dead end.
Yeah, there's really no like obvious path to go from here.
We're just like on some overlook, looking down on rubble with like no way forward.
And
rubble and maybe like water or something like.
Yeah, it's like there's like flooding and stuff probably.
Looks a little damp. Looks swampish.
Swampy.
But yeah, they're all looking for a way to go, and there's the party says various things to each other. Oh, it's a maze.
If the stories are right, it's a maze.
This place is a boot camp for Lassie. All kinds of challenges from Grand Pulse are waiting.
Challenges, huh? To get us all ready to go wipe out Cocoon?
We can wait here if turning Seath sounds better.
And Saz is like, as a wit's end, he's like, I've had enough of this. Where's the way out?
That's such a funny, like, tonal shift. Like, and I get it. Like, I fully agree. Like, I'm freaking out, man.
Actually, can we talk about that right now? Okay, so I know that we've had, like, plenty of side excursions already, and we're just getting to the plot, but I think this is an important thing to bring up. I do feel like with this scene, maybe with the Sid Raines scene, I feel like the writing becomes much more flabby here, like, or maybe it's just the translation or something, but I think the writing really takes a hit at this point, and it is not as good for like most of the rest of the game. It becomes much more flippant in a lot of ways. I feel like the characters, you could kind of have any of the characters say any line, and it doesn't really matter from this point on.
Yeah, I could definitely see that. That didn't like jump out at me necessarily, but like, yeah,
Yeah, now
maybe
that, like,
just because it's getting
everybody's-
so close to the end, everyone's all together. They're trying to, before it was
Yeah,
pretty easy
yeah.
for them to, I'm sure, like write dialogue and conversations because it was like, oh, okay, well, we're only focusing on these two people or these three people and how they
Yeah.
all interact and stuff. And now it's just kind of like we all know our mission, sort of. We all
Doesn't feel like
Yeah.
everything we say has as much weight anymore.
Yeah.
Because of like I think where we are in the story. Like, well,
Yeah.
we're at the like end of this act, and we haven't really like they have all this like runway they've got to like fill out before we get to like the ending of the game, and so like everything just feels a little loose right now.
It's a little loose, and I'll just go ahead and say it now so that I don't say it every time because I'm not trying to like harp on it or anything. But like we still have 3 more Eidolons to get, right? And they're supposed to like appear in these like times of trial or whatever. And all 3 Eidolons that we're getting ready to get all see like the issues that cause the lessee to need to get them kind of pop up in that conversation and then are just solved. It'll be like one of the characters is like, I don't feel so good about it. And Eidolon appears and then he goes, you know what? Actually, I feel fine about it. Just, never mind. I'm fine.
That's an extremely good point, actually.
Yeah, like
just stub their toe, like, oh shit.
yeah, none of it builds up. It's not coming from anywhere. It just kind of is like, oh, I'm having a bad day. Eidolon appears.
Oh shit, we need a reason to do this. And it's like,
yeah,
especially with the one where we've already talked about one of the characters who's going to get an Eidolon today. And there was definitely a moment where I think he could have gotten an Eidolon that would have made way more sense.
One that we thought it was going to happen at
earlier.
Yes,
And then
I
it was just
remember that.
like,
We were all like,
never
oh, this
mind,
is it.
I guess.
Yeah.
But yeah, I guess maybe like mechanically wise, because having an Eidolon kind of makes you a little bit overpowered. You get an extra ATB bar. Like maybe it was with balancing and stuff. They had to kind of work around that, or I don't know.
And there is like a fuckload of stuff coming up. Like even though we are in like the back part of the game, this game is full of things to do. Like it has a ton of gameplay left. And so like I think maybe it kind of makes sense that the game is like, oh shit, if we actually want you to do all this stuff, we need to give you the tools to do it. Let's go ahead and just do it now. Because we're at this point, you need these tools. Let's just give them to you. And so I feel like it's fine. It's a bit of a trade-off. And it could be. I've heard that the translation is not the best. And people are like working on retranslating 13. But yeah, the writing is not as good from here on out, I will say. I don't think so. And that could just be me. I'm not trying to tell people who listen to the podcast how to feel about it. Maybe you'll really like it. But I do feel like it falls off here. It's not quite as good.
Yeah.
For me, it felt like ever since the Saz like resolution, where it felt like he earned that moment with the Eidolon, but everything after that just felt like, and everything's fine now.
Yeah.
And the weird thing of it being like,
it just feels like scenes are missing. It feels like, a lot of
the Simpsons scene missing.
Yeah. The Saz thing. It still kind of bothers me that it was just like this huge, powerful moment with Saz. He gets his Eidolon, and then he looks like he's going to kill himself, and they kind of make you think that he killed himself, and then like 15 minutes later they're like, oh yeah, no, he was good, actually. He didn't though. It's fine. And it's like, well, why did you even bother? Like,
well, I think the implication is that the Chocobo chick stopped the bullet with its mighty strength.
True.
Mm-hmm.
the name that could shatter Eden.
That's right.
Someone spoke its name, and that was
yeah.
Do not look up the name.
Yeah,
You'll be very
do
disappointed.
Not. Anyway, I'm sorry.
The name is Reeve. What's Reeve's last name?
Tuetsi.
Yeah.
Twisted.
So anyway.
But anyway.
Saz is freaking out about the way
Saz
out.
freaks out.
Snow's just like, way out. Who said there's one? And then like it transfers over and he just says, bring it on, and like punches his hand again and starts walking forward, and he's like, He's a man who's like has renewed resolve all of a sudden. He says, my mind is made up. Maybe I will end up a Seath, but until that happens, I'm going to make Sarah proud. I couldn't bring myself to admit that this tear meant goodbye, and that's why I kept searching for her. But I didn't need to. Sarah was here the whole time, right here watching over me. Now I get it. What this tear's been telling me is to not let our focus win. It's not the fal'Cie we should listen to. It's Sarah and Reigns. Do you know
just
why?
Tried to kill us.
Yeah. Do you know why?
Good intentions.
Because our focus doesn't matter. What matters to me is that we protect Cocoon whatever it takes. And as he's saying that, he's like flipping around, like doing stunts with the fucking tear and stuff, and like throwing it in the air and catching it. So I'm like, dude, be careful. Like, you're gonna drop the fucking thing.
Someone was streaming, and now I can't not think it is, someone just called it the Cascade Badge.
Oh, yeah, I think Zwanzig called it the Cascade Badge. I was like, shit, yeah.
That's awesome.
It's like, shit, he beat Misty.
Yeah, there's a banned trading card game card of Sarah in the US, but it was released in Japan.
Yeah, Vanille, Hope, and Snow all do like a hands-in thing where they're like, all right, I'm in, let's do it.
He's holding the tear out and everyone's like putting their hand over it, including the Chocobo chick, which is very cute.
They all do the Mighty Ducks thing. They go quack, 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 quack.
Yeah. Okay, on the count of 3, we all say Sarah.
Yeah. It seems like everybody's like renewed. We're all on this path together. And then Fang is like, all right, well, count me out. I'm not into that. Like, that's dumb. And like they're like surprised. They're like, what? Like, I thought we're all a team now. But yeah, she like acts like she's gonna fight them, right?
Yeah. It truly characteristic of her. And you know, all of this coming out of, you know, not coming out of nowhere, but being perfectly cromulent of a plot device. She's just kind of like, hey, fuck you guys, I'm gonna fight you because I'm not down with this.
Yeah, I'm gonna fight you because I need a reason to get my Eidolon right now. So I'm gonna be angsty.
Yeah, all of a sudden out of nowhere, I'm gonna have this weird hang up where I'm just like, no, I need to stick by my goals or whatever to destroy Cocoon.
Yeah, right. And she says that. She's like, if you don't have the nerve for it, I'll do it myself. Go on alone, get stronger, and smash Cocoon out of the sky. And I think it's maybe coming from a place of concern for Vanille.
Oh, for sure, 100%. I mean, she said that specifically.
She's been like trying to find her focus forever, yeah. So she's like, no.
She's like, I will burn down the sky to save Vanille. Like,
yeah.
She's like, I will kill Vanille in order to save Vanille.
She's got her drive to kind of keep, because she's been coming so far for trying to figure out like what her focus is.
Yeah.
So she's like, no, yeah, I'm still on team focus. I still want to do the Falsey thing.
Yeah. She says, Vanille, if you turn Seath, there's no turning back, and I'm not letting it end that way. And then her brand starts, while this is all happening, she's kind of taking a knee again. She's in bad shape, like we were kind of alluding to in previous episodes. And the sky that we can actually see is getting kind of stormy. And, you know, a nice little seal appears below her. And she's in some pain, and we get an Eidolon out of the sky. A familiar face.
Bahamut appears.
It kind of telescopes out. I think deliberately they said they'd like have it kind of come out almost like a sight, because it comes shooting through almost like a bullet.
Okay.
But yeah, we see a Bahamut come blasting through because
flies out all cool.
And if I know anything about Bahamut, Genova life takes a lot of damage from it. So that would be nice to have.
The glyph that appears underneath Fang when she's freaking out has some really cool Latin text on it that translates to like, by the grace of Etro, which we'll learn more about Etro, I guess, someday. By the grace of Etro, emerge from the midnight void, come forth, master of the rift.
Ooh.
A name of blood, a pact of ruin, Bahamut shall rise, his bond eternal and unyielding.
Damn.
Shoulder the sky and fold the earth.
Master of the rift. Ooh.
Pretty sick.
Love that.
Master of the rift.
But yeah, they have a little discussion here where they're like, oh, you know, Fang's like, oh, I guess this thing is supposed to come help me, I guess, or whatever. Or no,
what are you doing? Coming to get pity on me?
Yeah, come to give pity. Yeah. And Snow's like, oh, it's here to help us or whatever. And she's like, yeah, help. They help us by murdering us. That's what they do. But yeah, and so it looks like it's getting ready to destroy Fang. The party kind of jumps in front of her like they're going to protect her from Bahamut.
I love the exchange because it says if we can't decide what to do next, they come and put us out of our misery. And then Snow's like, wait, so you haven't made your mind up yet?
Yeah, I do like that. Good. I do like that.
Yeah, and she's like, why are you protecting me? What are you doing? And Lightning's just like, we're protecting one of our own. We can do without their brand of mercy, and we don't need a Falsey's orders either. I'm fighting this focus to the end. We all are. So please, fight with us. And then Fang, like, kind of coming around, just says, ready when you are.
Yeah, and so Fang is just now on board because of this one conversation where Bahamut appears. No characterization needed. She's just like, oh, okay, well, when you put it that way, I guess I will be on board.
I mean, it's either die or, you know, fight this thing. So she's not really really much of an option.
I will say, as weak as like an Eidolon moment is, as weak as this one is, this scene is extremely cute. Like, you know, it's clunky. It comes kind of out of nowhere, and it's just like, oh yeah, by the way, here's an Eidolon, and here's
we're family now, you fucko.
It does very much have the power of friendship feel to it, you know.
Yeah, I'm down for it. I'm here. For that, 'cause
I love a good fucking Tomodachi moment. You know what I mean? Like I love that shit. So I'm in. But
it's cool too when everyone's kind of like going up to defend her, like they all kind of point their weapons out and stuff, and like it's cool. Saz just has like points his 2 guns forward, and then Snow's just standing there with his fucking dukes up.
Which is funny because we only have a party of 3 at a time.
Yeah. So we get into this battle, and this is the point where like we've done 3 Eidolons before, right? And I was like, okay, should I just take from the Eidolons that the way to do all of them is just to Ravager, to just build chain as fast as possible? And yes, it's like...
Yeah, this is the fastest one, I think.
You can just beat these guys in like a matter of a couple seconds if you're just like, what if everybody was just Ravager?
Yeah, the Doom clock doesn't really matter in this one because Bahamut will either kill you way before you get to the Doom counting down, or you'll win.
Yeah.
But there is a pretty cool moment that I really liked where when Lightning says, like, fight with us, she puts out her hand. And then, like, while we're still watching this cutscene, Fang, like, reaches up and touches Lightning's hand. And it says, battle team changed. Like, Fang, Lightning, Vanille. And it just shows, like, you know, we've seen that screen a million times by now. But I
love when it kind of, it siegs between, like, it happened with Hope when Fang and Lightning showed up to help Hope fight the Subjugator. It's always like I love when like the game mechanics kind of blend in with the cinematography. It's really cool.
I agree.
Bahamut looks cool in this game too. I do.
Bahamut's cool as shit.
His look.
Yeah, he's got fucking claws.
Has there been a bad claws. Bahamut in one of these games yet? I don't think so.
I don't think so.
They've all been fucking golden.
He's not very dragony as we've known him, but he's not wearing a bikini like we've seen before.
I forgot about bikini Bahamut.
But he is like very dark and still, I mean, he's kind of comparable to Odin, kind of the same kind of armored look, but it's all black and purple.
Real big claws.
Mm-hmm.
He looks like a Power Rangers villain version of Bahamut.
He does. Oh my goodness, you're right.
And I mean that like as a straight up compliment. It's cool as hell looking.
Yeah.
He looks a little bit like a Decepticon, too. Guess they all kind of do.
Also, I do like this battle. I don't know if it did it for y'all or if it was just like a random thing or whatever. For me, the battle, the entirety of the thing was from like a low camera angle, which is very cool. Or like from a like eye-level camera angle. Because sometimes it kind of like flips around and does cool things. And it made Bahamut seem very, very big the whole time I was fighting him. And I was like, oh, that's cool.
Yeah, they say they wanted that to be very... like painterly. They were talking about it like, oh yeah, we framed this fight like based on like the Great Wave or whatever that painting was, to have like Bahamut always like bigger than everyone else.
Oh, nice.
Okay.
Force of nature, or whatever. I mean, to me, the way they laid it out just made it look like the Fibonacci spiral. But
yeah, but fucking what doesn't look like the Fibonacci sequence? Come on.
Yeah. But yeah,
doesn't really do much. What was the kind of moves he does? He does like some pretty beefy attacks.
This is the problem that we run into by playing 15 hours of FF13 since this happened. Like, what were Bahamut's attacks?
He does whirlwind.
I can kind of speak on my experience with this fight if you want to look up like the moves and everything, Curtis. He's got like whirlwind, which essentially is just kind of like a blitz, I guess. Like a
it kind of launches Fang for me a few times.
Yeah, it sucks. Like anyone caught within the whirlwind will go up, similar to like the whirlwind like Arrowa or whatever that we've had to fight. He also has Inferno, which I guess just does fire damage. But for me,
Ignis.
It's interesting because the team is now Fang, Lightning, and Vanille. The team that I was using to get into this battle was Lightning, Fang, and Vanille. So more or less the same team. Like I really like that it had the dramatic moment of saying battle team changed, but it also does change your paradigm. So all of the paradigms I used all throughout the arc to like really hone in on the strengths of Lightning, Vanille, and Fang, I didn't really have the option to, as well as like now having to focus on controlling Fang's role within this party. So it was a little difficult to get used to, and the default paradigms that you get usually aren't the best. You know, you can usually tweak them to make a much better, have a much better strategy. So
they're interesting when they give them to you. They're like, I always feel like I'm like, oh, these are the ones I'm supposed to win with. What did I have here? And they're like, Not the ones that you would pick. Like, they're always very interesting.
And there's never 6 of them, I don't think.
No, there's only ever like 4.
So the nice thing about that is if you do get a game over, you are able, and I tried this as well. I tried like reconfiguring the party to be the exact one that we're about to get to see if it does still give you the party change thing. So I did that. I configured the paradigms that I wanted, and I got into the battle, and it still said battle team changed and overwrote my paradigms. And I'm like,
oh
that's
really?
kinda weird. Yeah. But what's nice about it too is if you get game over and you like have to retry and go back in, you then have the option to change your paradigms once you get into the cutscene with the fight.
Okay.
Oh, that's cool.
So similar to other boss battles that we've lost and got to, level up in the Crystarium afterwards or do whatever. It's the same sort of thing here. It's just weirdly placed between a cutscene. Yeah. It's I really do like that about this battle system. It never feels all that punishing.
No, I agree.
But once we get that gestalt going, the transformation sequence can start, and it turns into kind of like a giant dragony bug thing with really cool looking wings kind of flying off of it.
Yeah, so Fang can just ride Bahamut like a plane. And at that point, I feel like it's kind of like Lord of the Rings, where they're always like, why didn't they just take the eagles into into Mordor if they just had them the whole time?
Do not open that can of worms if you don't want me to go on a rant about why that was not possible. Because that is a thing that is completely for the same reason that we're complaining about like the clunky writing here. It could just be that the source material had a lot more going on in it in like the Japanese text, and then they had to cut some stuff out towards the end of the game because they didn't want it to be padded out too long. It's the same basic thing. Like the eagles weren't just giant birds; they were like actual sentient beings that had their own political affiliations and stuff like that, and they didn't really have a stake in the fight the way that the humans and everyone in
much like these Eidolons. Gotcha.
Well, and the thing is, like, I don't really have a dog in that fight.
So what I'm saying is they're basically Eidolons.
Yeah, I don't like that. And then, like, the thing is, like, I mean that mostly as a gag. I don't really know. I haven't read Lord of the Rings, but I am like, no, Fang just has Bahamut. She can just fly wherever now.
Yeah, there's no reason for her to not be able to fly Bahamut everywhere.
Well, that's why I'm always asking, like, why doesn't everyone just get on Snow's motorcycle?
Yeah.
Damn. And Lightning's horse.
Listen, guys, I'll tell you
I'm probably uncomfortable
exactly
to get on
why.
Snow's motorcycle. I don't know.
The reason why...
Saz has a car.
Saz has a fucking car.
Do you guys know how much TP it takes to be able to to ride these things?
Damn good
In
point.
this economy? Come on.
But defeating Bahamut actually, like, causes a shining pathway to materialize from here as well.
That's right.
And Vanille's like, oh my gosh, look, a new path. Maybe that thing did save us.
It's a miracle.
And like, I like Snow's just like, oh, I don't suppose you'd be willing to call it a sign of me being right. like, oh, I'm actually right about something.
To which I answer yes. Yes, that is exactly how I take it.
Just because you weren't wrong doesn't make you right. So.
Yeah, I know.
You are technically correct. The best kind of correct.
But so that the party walks on down that pathway. We get a little narration where Vanille is musing to Sarah, and she says, "Oh, Sarah, I guess being a Lassie doesn't mean you can't do what's right, does it?" And we move on to the next scene. So like, it seems like the party has a little bit of like renewed, hope that they're going to go against their focus, and they get to the end of this pathway, which there is a like derelict ship at the end of.
This game loves putting a derelict ship at the end of our path, don't it?
God damn, it sure do.
We're in the Apps, by the way. That's the name of this area, the Apps.
Oh, is that true? That's the name of it?
Yeah, like APSE. I probably mispronounced
Oh,
it.
you see, before the Eidolon fight, there was a clownfish blocking our path down. That's a reference from the first season.
They see the ship.
Oh, yeah.
Before you go down to see Earth, there's a fish in the way of the ethereal state.
Oh, that's right. That's right. But yeah, they see the ship. Vanille recognizes that it's from Grand Pulse. And she's like, oh, maybe it was one of the weapons of the Ark. Like, maybe that's the reason that it's here. Fang's like, oh, well, that's our gate to Grand Pulse right there. Or no, wait, I'm sorry. She
It literally is a gate.
There literally is a gate above them,
yeah.
above the ship. Yeah, and Fang points to it and is like, that's a gate to Grand Pulse.
It's just like if fucking Brescia were like, well, here's a ship, and look, there's a door pointing straight to a door to our next location.
Yeah, exactly.
I have a question. What have we called the Palamacia and the other ships in the game? Did we call them specifically airships?
I think so.
I think the data log
because
uses that.
Vanille does point this out and say an airship, and I was like, it would be cool if Pulse technology was an airship, and then the Cocoon ones were different, but it probably isn't. I'm probably just misremembering.
Okay.
I was like, is this the first instance of them saying airship? And I'm like, no,
I
they probably
believe
said
they
it
call
in
airship in
the
the
first
data log.
episode or something.
Yeah, we keep finding frickin' airplanes. This one does, like, I love how kind of weird and clanky it looks like something out of Cowboy Bebop, because it is just like made of like rusty looking pipes and
Looks like something out of BioShock Infinite. It kind of looks like Songbird a little bit.
Alex keeps posting pictures, like very, very detailed, like mechanical drawings of literally everything that we're talking about in the Discord as we go, because he now has the Final Fantasy Ultimania. And I'm just like, oh, they really do have a technical drawing of everything in this entire game, don't they?
Super impressive.
It's just like every little tiny thing that there could possibly be. An airship that we see for like 5 minutes. It's like, would you like to know how everything on it works? Well, here it is. And I appreciate that.
Yeah, it's really cool.
they label every little nuance of it, so you know what part does what.
Yeah, that was
That's
one.
how see, this is probably the drawing they use, so this is how Saz can pilot it.
Yeah.
But is Saz the pilot of it?
Yeah,
That's right. Yeah, but we see like a little. Is it an actual like physical like a hole, or is it like an ethereal like portal?
Yeah, it kind of looks like a. It kind
I'll
of
leave
looks.
that one up to y'all.
Yeah, it definitely looks
It's
like
a glowing glyph in the sky.
Yeah, it's like a glyph, and I guess
It looks
is
intangible, so it doesn't look like it's like. I mean, we know that Cocoon has been shattered slightly, and you'd think like,
Yeah.
oh, the gate to Pulse through Cocoon is like that big fucking hole that Ragnarok blew in it or whatever. Like,
It looks like the Omega weapon from Dirge, just a big old green and big old wings and shit.
So what? That's our exit? Pulse or bust?
Could be one of Daisley's traps.
Well, that's not good. Do you think it might take us to Eden?
Saz is like, I'm doing the flying. No more of these ships taking charge of our travel plans.
like, dude, you flew the last one, asshole.
We tried.
Oh, yeah, no, that's right. He didn't
it's
fly the
not
last
up
one.
to you. Like,
yeah, that's right.
It's like you'll find out. Like,
He's like, nope, lost control of this one too, and it's flying us into the building again. We're back. We're back at the beginning of the arc.
Oh my god, I'd turn this game off right now.
and like Fang's making fun of him, like, ha, really? That is a Grand Pulse ship.
Yeah, I was just like,
Like, really, leave it to me. And he just starts coughing and like just hacking up because he's just an old man and starts.
yeah,
like,
it's a very silly scene where he hits his own chest and it causes him to cough, and everybody
And
laughs.
before that, he's
and-
like, this ship's only going where these boys have to take them, and he like flexes and like pats his muscle and stuff.
and I die a little inside, and we just
Says.
it's supposed to be the inverse because Snow comes up and like comes up. It reminds me of when Saz called Snow a kid. He's like, hey, but now like Saz is the old fart, and like
yeah.
But yeah, Snow comes up. Is like, we get lucky. Maybe we'll even turn up some way to get rid of these goofy tattoos.
Yeah, and we get a good look at Snow's brand, which is hella eye-opened.
Yeah, they're all
Getting
looking
there.
pretty nasty now. Like
They're all looking
they're
pretty
not as
close
clean.
to Seath time.
Yeah.
Teeth o'clock.
Like concerningly so, because like we hear like the eye appears and it starts to open, and like the eyes are opening on these tattoos. Like it is game time
Mm-hmm.
for the Lassie at this point. But yeah, Vanille's like, oh, but there's no way to do that. You can't get rid of them. And Fang's just like, oh, you never know. Maybe we just didn't think to look for one. So like Fang is entirely on board now.
What's a little concerning about that is Vanille has information that she still hasn't given to anyone in the party. That like she has like very pertinent information that only she knows. Like she mentioned that she like knew what her focus was to someone, but didn't actually talk about what that focus is. So her being like, there's no way to do that. It's like, uh-oh.
Yep.
Right.
And we'll get there next episode.
But Hope is like, yeah, well, Cocoon's not going anywhere, so like it's worth going and just taking a, because I mean, if one of us is supposed to turn to Ragnarok, and like there's really no harm in leaving Cocoon, I guess, for a bit, right?
Yeah.
And then the Lightning is like, yeah, but what about your dad?
What about the other Bart? What about the good Bart?
Yeah, the good Bart.
Oh, his name was Bart too, wasn't it?
Yeah, Bartholomew.
My son's name is also Bart. Yeah, and Hope says, I made him a promise. I promised him to keep going and do what I had to. He said only I would know what that was. The world's full of lies. There's no way of knowing what's right. All we can do is believe in ourselves. It's easy to sit back and let people trick you. Like how the Sanctum had us all thinking that a Lassie was some sort of monster. I'm done with their lies, fal'Cie, this whole focus thing. From here on out, I use my eyes. Think and act. I might not make all the right choices,
He's
but
a free thinker.
yeah, he's not a sheeple. But as long as I'm the one who decided what to do, there's nothing to regret.
I want to make a meme of like Hope casting bravery on a party member who has only the Ravager role, like who doesn't have commando, and just put like so-called free thinkers.
Oh, I thought you were gonna say his dialogue where it says, "I might not make all the right choices." Like cast bravery
on
twice on someone who doesn't have commando.
Yeah, just casting bravery on Vanille. Yeah. Yeah.
It's cute seeing like Lightning kind of look on, like, this little guy's got heart and spunk now. I've raised him good.
Lightning is so friendly from here to the end of the game. She's so nice.
She's so nice.
She just does a lot of smiling. It's very weird.
And Lightning is like, okay. And then Saw's like, all right, let's do it. I'm with you. Bad choices and all.
Yeah, Snow's like, did somebody say bad choices? I'm in.
Yeah. I do like the next part where Hope says like, I'm not sure how it's going to turn out. Pulse is hell. And Fang's like, oh yeah, is that so? How many times have you been there?
So
and I was like,
good,
oh, we don't know what Pulse is like at all still.
That's
I love how teasing, like, oh really? Yeah.
That's how I feel
Little
anytime someone
know-it-all.
talks shit on Philly. If they're like, oh, I don't want to go in there. It's like, have you ever fucking been there? It rules.
Bad things happen on Pulse.
I was going to say they were right.
But yeah, okay, people. So everybody in, and like everyone's just like, yeah, off we go.
But yeah, as that all happens, Snow kind of like throws the tear up again and grabs it. And then we get some Vanille narration. And she says, no one ever said the future would be easy.
Right. And then we kind of transition into
kind of a flash. It's not really a flashback. It's showing
stuff that we've seen before. It's all in black and white, but it's basically just we see everyone in Bodom at the same time when the fireworks are going off. Like we see it from
like this
all in one place. So it's very interesting.
It's very cool because like I know that we've talked about it before, but it's interesting that all of our characters come from very different backgrounds and have very different motivations. But they were all there that night in front of the fireworks in Bodom. Like
Vanille goes on and says, but I think we all saw the glimmer of a dream somewhere in the sky that night as we see like Snow flying by with Sarah. And we see Hope and his mom looking up at Saz and Dodge, very tragically. We see LeBro, who we haven't seen in way too long. I was going to
say, we see LeBro and Fang, who like, I'll give you a little spoiler alert right here for Final Fantasy 13-2, who is not dead, but this game is just like, nah, she's dead. Fine, fuck it.
Yeah, it says the tiniest spark of hope that we could charge our fate. Oh, we see the hot dog drink again too.
we just see the hot dog drink. Just a little Vienna sausage poking out of her martini.
The limp biscuit cocktail. But yeah, who could say? And she does her prayer hands because we actually see her there now as well. I don't know if we have seen.
We saw this briefly, but like a flashback, but it ended up cutting over to like I think Lightning maybe.
Yeah.
And maybe I forget.
Yeah.
We were like, oh, she's here, but we didn't actually have to see like what she was doing there.
Right.
Yeah.
That moment has come and gone.
But then we're in warp speed or something.
Yeah.
Very, like,
so
Star
here's
Trek.
the thing. We are.
I guess it's like this is basically hyperspace and like Cowboy Bebop.
It is, but we're also in like a tangible space too, because as we come to the end of this, like, because like what's happening is like it shows Saz piloting the ship. They're in like the warp speed tunnel, but as we come to the end of it, we come to a solid physical end of it that we then pop out into space. So are we in some kind of like weird?
Yeah. What the hell is this? Some kind of tube?
What is this? Some kind of tube? What is this? Who knows? I guess it doesn't matter.
I mean, for me, I thought it just kind of flashed white, and I don't actually see the orifice of this hole.
You see a little shape coming down the way, just for like just a minute.
We are inside a gamer's RGB setup.
We do in the second. We do see it briefly as the exit point, which does look like another glyph. I think. And there it is. Yeah. At 121:21 in this walk. It's kind of the same thing on the other side. It's just like a weird floating glyph
and it's like in front of Cocoon. So I'm like, is that?
Yeah, we see the planet behind us. So it is like, I don't know, it's like a space elevator, a tunnel from like the inside to the outside or something like that.
Maybe.
Like a warp point.
Yeah.
Yeah, but Vanille comes running up after we reach like a beautiful sky with clouds and everything.
I love the engines are giving off sparks and shit.
Oh, I didn't even notice that they are.
But yeah, like Vanille runs up to the cockpit. I love this cutscene. It's like it's very exciting, and it's also just kind of
It's nice to see something outside of Cocoon finally.
Yeah, we're outside of Cocoon for the first time in the game.
Yeah.
And we're also not being chased by like SciComm shit. We're not in a dogfight, which happens every time we get in a fucking plane.
I was gonna say for a couple seconds, but
all right, they get like sideswiped almost by this giant flying caterpillar centipede thing.
You know the Moldorm from Legend of Zelda?
Do I? Do I ever?
So the Moldorm jumps out of the ground. There's a big big like flying worm creature. I guess we don't know that it's a fal'Cie at this point.
I think it's good to assume that anything uncomprehensible is a fal'Cie, because I ended up reading some like data logs or like getting to a point where they mentioned that these things are fal'Cies. I'm like, yeah, I don't know why I didn't think that would be a fal'Cie. Like, it looks weird as hell. Like,
well, the way I agree with you. The thing is, I felt the exact same way, and the way I was thinking of it was, oh, we're at Pulse, and Pulse is an untamed wilderness, so there can just be monsters. There can just be like crazy animals,
and there are, and we're gonna see a whole bunch of monsters coming up that aren't fal'Cie.
I mean, spoiler. I actually don't. I guess it's kind of unspoiler, but I actually don't think we ever encounter that thing like in game again, except for like a quick passing glance somewhere else.
Oh yeah, maybe
it's just a cool like. It's like the Crate Dragon in Star Wars. Like, oh yeah,
it looks like the Sentinels from the Matrix.
I can see it,
like the ones that are like in the real world in the Matrix, not
And so what happens here is that the giant worm, the flying worm thing, doubles back, attacks the ship, and cracks the glass of the cockpit. And Hope and Vanille
just takes a bite out of the side.
Yeah, and Hope and Vanille just fly out the side, just out into the air, like.
Oh yeah, it's so goofy, man.
It's very.
Again, this game has already done that. They had Saz hanging off of the fucking bird or whatever that we were flying, the dragon thing.
Yeah.
All goofy, but
And Lightning and Fang both jump out into the air after them, so they're all like free falling, right?
Yeah.
It's very wild. And Fang throws her Eidolite, and then Lightning smashes it open.
Yeah, like Lightning shoots it, right?
Yeah. And Bahamut comes out, and they use Bahamut.
The way Bahamut comes out is really cool too, because after the Eidolite or Eidolith or whatever it's called, like shatters, like a bunch of just like dark smoke kind of emanates out of it. And Bahamut appears through the glyph and just flies down and catches them all.
Yeah, and it's
I
cool
do like
there's
a little line that I have to bring up where it's like playful little critter, isn't he? And Lightning's like, yeah, we'll play with someone else. And Vanille's like, oh, it happens all the time. And Fang says he thinks we're lunch. So Saz says, yeah, like a seafood buffet. And Lightning says, seafood, cute.
That is very goofy.
Yeah.
But yeah, it picks up everybody. There's a funny part where Vanille and Hope are falling, and Vanille asks Hope, "Are you okay?" And he goes like, "Oh yeah, I'm great."
Like as they're falling, before they get swooped up,
before they're
Bahamut,
picked up. By Bahamut. Yeah. But once Bahamut does swoop in and pick everybody up, it has all 6 l'Cie on it. We get a really good shot of it flying over Pulse, and this is like our first introduction to Pulse. This is the first time we've seen what the land looks like, and it's like it's a big step, right? Like it reminds me of like Central Asia, like Mongolian kind of territory, like the steppe there. It's very wild. It's very good. It's very like natural, but there's like patches of desert and grassland kind of mixed together. It's pretty cool. Lots of canyons.
It might have been just incepted into my brain, but I saw it and I was like, oh, like Australia. Like, just because, I guess, because
we've been saying,
Fang and Vanille have Australian accents, and this is a very, like, lush, wildlife looking place. Like, I've never been to Australia, so I don't know why I'm like, this must be what Australia looks like. But
Australians who listen to the podcast write in, is it
no
annoying
one
to
in
have
Australia
to like
listens to this podcast?
Is it annoying to have to live alongside the fal'Cie? Has Sydney ever been attacked by a Tomos? I must know. I do also like that we see the ship just smash into the fucking ground as well.
It's like animated very well too. Like it's like, and it like,
I like that it doesn't just explode. It just kind of like
it doesn't.
It just drags along and like knocks down trees and stuff.
Yeah, it's really good.
Yeah, and we're everyone's running on the back of Bahamut, and it's like this big, very Jurassic Park moment, like, welcome to Grand Pulse.
Na, 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 na. Yeah, it's great actually. It's really cool, and I really like the scene.
Yeah, it's a really cool scene.
I was smiling the whole time. Like, this is so, it just feels like, yeah, we're all a team. It's like we're kind of just again crash landing into our next location, but it feels like we're not like being chased by anything for the first time.
Yeah. It's like there's a nice blue sky up there or whatever, right? And like and actually Fang does say, she's like, welcome to Grand Pulse. Like, she says that. You see a lot of like there's like weird I don't know what the hell you would call them, like these big, not they're like natural sculptures of like trees.
They're almost like trees made of bushes. They're like kind of clumped together, almost like giant.
Yeah,
plant.
that stack up like
It's
hundreds
really cool.
of feet into the air. It's
everything about this plant like feels like familiar. Like, oh yeah, this is like something you'd see on Earth. But there was always like a little kind of like Star Wars-y kind of twist where like everything is just a little off.
I agree.
So it just does feel alien.
I completely agree, because like Cocoon has natural elements. Like, we've been through areas that are more, to quote Vanille, naturey. But this area does feel like, oh, this is a place on Earth. Like, this is actually real, even though it does have like some weird plants or some like weird fauna or something.
Ooh, baby, do you know what that's worth? Ooh, Grand Pulse is a place on Earth.
Grand Pulse, it's just Earth.
Speaking of Cocoon, while we get this wonderful establishing shot of just the different kind of like natural structures and canyons and things, we actually get a shot of the sky where we can see Cocoon with that big old crack in its shell just up there. Like, I thought that was super cool. It's like, that's where we spend all of the game.
Yeah.
It's our first time, I think, seeing it from this angle, except for like, I guess, Sarah's necklace, right? Yeah, we're beyond the threshold.
Yeah, and we get some
awesome.
Vanille narration over all of that, where it's a world wild and fragile, vibrant and untamed.
Oh yeah, this is like the beautiful like montage of Pulse.
Yeah, we get to see all this cool Pulse stuff. Grand Pulse. And then she says, it's a place ruled by the brutal struggle of survival and the callous and uncaring whim of the foul sea. And as we see that, we see a chocobo just kind of grazing. Like, chocobos are just indigenous to Grand Pulse.
I got a good feeling about this chocobo.
Yeah, and we see some of those like bipedal
Pantherons, but unmodified.
Pantheron type
Quadrupedal? Goodness, Carl.
Whatever. Well, when they reach their third evolution, they'll be bipedal. Come on, we all know. Yeah, the quadrupedal, just a pack of these like Pantheron things rushing in, and they tackle the chocobo and start eating it.
They eat the shit out of that chocobo.
Like, literally, like, yeah, a brutal struggle. Is that the first instance of Final Fantasy games showing a chocobo getting killed? That's not by our party, like by accident or whatever.
Not the chocobo eater.
Oh, that's true.
We didn't see the chocobo eater. We can assume that that's what he does. However, I don't think we saw him eat.
But this is the David Attenborough narration, but for Neil's version of it.
Yeah, and Vanille kind of, it's very poetic in the way that she's kind of bringing it up, but she does, in a way, sum up the plot to this point where she's like, yeah, there are foul sea down here. They're all working tirelessly. They don't care for or against mankind, but they're all working to wake up their sleeping maker. And that's like at the heart of every single one of the foul sea's decisions. Like, everything they do is of the purpose to wake up their sleeping god.
Yeah, weed out the weak and leave only the strong. There is no such thing as mercy.
Reigns knew the truth. The purpose lying at the heart of all the Fal'Cie's actions. Recalling their lost deity and returning the world to its former glory.
And then we see an adamantoise, majestic beast, enormous.
Before we see that, we see something real weird.
Oh, the Dahaka?
We see a little sphere with like spikes coming out of it, just kind of rolling on
It's
through.
a hamster ball.
Yeah, like a little hamster ball.
It's a hamster ball, but it has like a saw blade sticking out of it that's glowing hot and red.
There's a lot of stuff that we do see in that montage. I did kind of skip over a lot of it, but we see like several aspects of the things that are on Grand Pulse, and one of them is a fucking razor blade hamster ball.
Mm-hmm.
There's also a flying set of anal beads. It's incredible.
Yeah.
Yeah, a lot of this actually reminded me of, besides the anal beads, like because we see
the anal beads. But I'm not wrong.
Around this flying anal beads is a fallen tower. And
Yeah.
it gave me some Shadow of the Colossus vibes.
Yeah, this is
which-
extremely Shadow of the Colossus vibes, and I do like
but
the
much more lush.
the anal beads thing. Also, like,
I
has
love
really,
that
like,
I've poisoned this fucking podcast with that.
the top of it is like extremely cool looking. It's like ornate and kind of like alien to look at, but sort of like looks almost like an owl that has a face and like almost like a sewer, like a manhole cover, like
yeah.
behind it, but in like a religious way, you know, like it looks
like some very old, like holy, like native artwork.
Yeah, it's super cool.
Leather and pearls and bones and shit. It's very cool. Everything feels very reminiscent of like some other culture, but still in a really bizarre way.
It's all very, it's like you said earlier, it's all very familiar, even though it's alien. Yeah, in a way that like...
Yeah, it's like a little uncanny, but not the same way that the Pulse stuff was. Or not the Pulse, the Cocoon stuff.
I know, yeah, that's so weird. I think they did a very, very good job with this game and the design in making Cocoon a very like consumerist kind of world, which like obviously we're all very like used to in real life.
It's very maximalist.
It's very maximalist, but yet very alien for some reason. And yet this world that is the alien world that's very weird is very natural and very relatable. It's very funny how like you would think that Cocoon would be the one that we see and recognize the most of how it works, but it really is the other way around. And it's an interesting like play on our expectations of what's foreign and not.
Yeah, but we see a bunch of chocobos kind of just running away from a creature
this
that
is
I
a
believe...
good sequence to kind of give you a sense of scale. So we see like a stampede of chocobos, and we see this giant, like basically a stegosaurus, like a brontosaurus sized like elephant looking.
We see
Woolly
chocobos, and chocobos are like twice our size, right? Like they're pretty big. You know what I mean? And then it like pulls out, and you see, a real big creature, the fucking adamantoids.
It's like a shoe puff, but like 3 times bigger.
Yeah, enormous. And you're like, that surely is the biggest thing. that
Nothing
must be
could
the
ever
biggest
be
thing.
bigger than this.
Yeah, because like these adamantoids are like the chocobo, which is multiple times our size, is maybe the size of one toe of the adamantoids.
The adamantoids actually don't have toes, but yes.
Yeah.
I guess they don't. They just have like the little circles, but like
Stumps.
it has to be at least like 20 times bigger, like height wise.
It's like it's like bigger than a brontosaurus you've seen, like both with a short neck.
Yeah.
Basically kind of what it feels like.
So we're
The short
talking
neck and woolly
big.
mammoth horns.
Yeah.
And a big old turtle
But
shell.
then out of nowhere, the fucking giant of Babel from FF4 just comes and picks it up like a hamster.
Yeah, we see a shadow. We see a shadow like as the shot is like pulling back and showing us kind of more of these adamantoids kind of marching in progression towards where the chocobos were headed. We see a giant shadow of like something that looks like a hand, and sure enough, there is a giant fucking like mech giant of Babel from Final Fantasy IV, just grabbing this thing.
Yeah,
throws it into its mouth and just swallows it. It ate
just
him
eats the
bone
whole
and
thing.
all.
You just swallowed a mouse whole is basically kind of what it felt like in terms of scale.
Yeah,
It's
horrifying.
ridiculous.
so there is something very, very, very big out there.
Yeah, I'm not looking forward to that. As all of that's going on too, Vanille asks, but would bringing the Maker back into this world really lead to our salvation? And then we
Right.
kind of get our party. We see a shot of them walking around on something that kind of looks like the Gates of Antiquity a little bit. And Vanille says, the Maker created Fal'Cie, and they, in their desperation to be reunited with the Maker, created Lissie. And Lissie, I wonder what we'll end up creating.
Which is really good. I really like that line.
Yeah, it's really nice.
It feels like the last line in the first book of Final Fantasy 13.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
And then the credits roll like, yeah, like we'll see you next
well,
time.
I think you're 100% right. I think that everything about this game is in 2 parts. And that's the chapter closing on part 1, because like not only do the themes take like we already said that like the writing changes at this point, like the feel of the writing changes, the themes of the game change at this point, the gameplay itself changes at this point, like whether it's a linear or open world changes at this point, the fact that we have all 6 roles for every character, like it's, as of this scene, functionally a different game at this
Yeah.
point. Like we're now at Final Fantasy 13 1.5. at this point, which is very interesting, and I like that a lot about it.
It's very unusual pacing.
It is.
Just not in a bad way. Like, I'm not saying that is like a negative thing about the game. It's just like, I feel like most games don't do this. This is kind of the big brother version of getting through Midgar in Final Fantasy VII and then being like, oh my god, there's a whole world now.
Yeah.
It's like that, but after we've played for like 30 hours or so.
Yeah. We've just completed the Midgar section of Final Fantasy 13.
We've completed 10 chapters of this 13 chapter game and played for 30 hours, and now we're like, oh my god, we're on an open world essentially.
Now we're at the world map, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah, that's not the end of the voiceover, because now we're in engine cutscene.
Yeah,
but we see Hope gathering some coconuts with the baby chocobo.
We do.
Looks like Chow Garden vibes here.
Yeah, it's just.
You know what? And I don't want to like read too far into it, but I do like this area that we open up on is a canyon, and we do see the ship that had crashed stuck in this canyon. But I like the fact that it is a very like narrow, condensed canyon, because like in a world with the things that we just saw, surely this is the safest place to be, and it makes our party feel even smaller to me, because I'm like, oh yeah, no wonder we wouldn't be out among all the fucking creatures. Like, we just got here and don't know where we are or what we're doing.
Exactly.
So it gives a different feel, because like before, up to this point, the game has been escaping. That's all we've been doing, is just escaping from the law the whole time. And now we're not. We're exploring. You know what I mean? We're now we were the big danger on Cocoon, and now we're the tiny little fish in like the world's biggest ocean.
Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah. Sorry, I just wanted to make that how I felt about the canyon.
Yeah, it's really good. But Vanille says, our future looked bleak, but as long as we could keep our spirits up, we'd find a way to change our fate somehow.
Love that.
And we kind of see Hope looking up and holding a coconut that he just knocked out of a tree by tackling it.
And Fake drops it on Chocobo Chick, so you think the Chocobo Chick got smushed or
something. And then when it rolls away, you see the Chocobo Chick behind it, who's like angry, like, oh, I almost got hit by it.
Mm-hmm.
It's very funny. And then the scene changes, and I wanted to say, before we change scenes, I think we should take a quick bathroom break.
I agree.
I think so,
Not only because this is a good time to take one, but because I need to take one.
Me too.
How about that? All right.
Off to hell we go.
So Chocobo Chick is dead, and Hope is still very much alive.
Chocobo Chick has been found dead in Miami.
Chocobo Chick really is the Scrappy-Doo of the game.
Chocobo Chick? Yeah, I guess so.
Yeah.
He is very much, let me at him!
Oh, you're right. Damn. I love that little guy. Chocobo Chick, that is, not Scrappy-Doo. I don't much care for Scrappy-Doo.
I don't much care for that Scrappy-Doo.
He's a bad influence.
So we switch off of that scene with Hope and Chocobo Chick, and we see Vanille, and there's like a weird like double vision type of like filter as it's like pulling up away from Vanille as she's like sleeping. And Fang
it was all a dream. The whole game was a dream.
Yeah, this whole game was a dream. Lightning, snow? What are you talking about? We got to go and fight that giant.
I had this craziest dream where I became a lassie, and you were there. I mean, we're not in Kansas anymore, that's for sure.
Yeah, Vanille is saying that she had a pretty strange dream.
Yeah.
And we see our little location title card.
Yeah, it's Grand Pulse.
I know, Grand Pulse, we made it.
Terra Incognita.
Mm-hmm. Yep. I love Terra Incognita. The sister of Guy Incognito.
I did look up some of the phrases through this section, but
I feel like I should probably give a nice disclaimer for this part of the podcast moving onward. I am going to mispronounce everything that comes up, because there's a lot of words with a lot of letters and a lot of vowels, and I am not good at that.
Terra Incognita means an unknown land.
Oh.
Nice.
I love that. Yeah, we wake up and as the cameras pan, we see our ship is just wedged in a fucking canyon. That's where we've set up camp.
I actually, did you all take I know there's nothing to do in it, but did you look around the camp at all?
Yeah, I took a little stroll around.
I is a very, very small thing, but I appreciate that somewhere someone was like, oh, we should have like a barrel that has like a bottle of what looks like a sake bottle or something, and like 6 cups sitting around it that are all slightly different. And I was like,
cute. I didn't notice that.
How cute. They like have a cup on there for every single person.
Hope can't drink. Well, I guess there's no drinking age in.
There's no drinking age on Grand Pulse.
Dude,
You can
he's
do
gone
whatever you
through
want.
so much shit. He can have
Actually,
some
it's for the
sake.
chick.
Come
It's
on.
for the chocobo chick. Yeah.
Yeah, that's right.
It's interesting to see what Fang and Vanille are like sitting on it.
It's like a weird, like looks like a leather,
It's like upholstery,
or it's like packing blankets
Like
or
a
something like that.
fire
maybe?
yeah, like a packing or fire blanket or something.
Yeah, I guess they just kind of salvaged it from the ship, and it's like the most comfortable material that you can turn into like a bed.
I think it's draped over cables. Is that right?
Yeah, or like a log or something. I don't know. Vanille can sleep on anything, as we've known.
True.
But yeah, so the Fang and Vanille are here. We saw Hope off getting the coconuts or whatever, and then we see Lightning, Snow, and Saz walk up to the camp. So that scene that we saw with them walking around like a bunch of blown out buildings and like ruins in Vanille's speech is presumed to have been happening just beforehand. So they're like getting back to camp.
They're scouting out, and yeah, but it's cute. Everyone's like, "Hey, you're back." Any luck?
Right.
And it's like Lightning's like, "Yeah, no sign of anyone else, but we did find a bunch of bloodthirsty wildlife in crumbling ruins."
Yeah.
Yeah, and Snow's like, yeah, we've run out of places to search around here. Where's Hope? And Fang says, he's off with the Chocobo getting supplies.
And the Chocobo flies back. We see the Chocobo fly into the shot as she's saying that.
It's like, wait, if you're here...
Yeah, if you're here. And it's like panicked, right? But nobody like, it's just like chirping. And so they're not sure what it's getting at.
You all by yourself, yeah.
Yeah, you all by yourself or whatever. And eventually it lands in Vanille's hands. And I guess Vanille can talk to animals because it starts like beeping at her, like chirping at her. And she goes, oh, his brand. And like all the Lassie are like, oh shit. Like something's gone wrong with Hope's brand.
At first I thought they were talking about the Chocobo Chick's brand. Like,
me too.
I was like,
Oh,
it's his
really?
brand.
I was like, oh my god, he was branded too? I didn't know that could happen. Now he can finally use magic and gets an extra ATB bar.
Yeah, Chocobo's destiny is to become Ragnarok.
But yeah, I mean, Vanille's a person of the wild. I'm sure she can talk with the animals, walk with the animals,
Sing and squeak and squawk with the animals.
Everyone's like, just gasping in turn, and then we got to find him. It's very Lassie. Jimmy fell down the well. We've got to go rescue Hope.
Yeah,
Very scrappy do. Shaggy fell down the well. But yeah, we get control of Lightning, and we get the trophy Instrument of Hope.
And we get to build parties from pretty much here out. I guess we could before we fought Daisley, but I feel like if we can really do whatever at this point, there's no lead character. Just
Without Hope.
Oh, minus it. Yeah, true.
The training wheels are off.
Actually, while we're looking for Hope, there's a very like dour music playing, and it plays throughout the battles and everything in this section. So we don't hear Blinded by Light.
It does sound familiar.
It's very like intense. Dun, dun. Like, it's kind of mean. But it's neat though. It definitely makes the situation feel dire. They're like, oh my god, we really need to get to Hope. And he's quite a ways away, I felt like.
Yeah, we're fighting our way through flans and stuff, like, and those more of those little sluggy things, but all different flavors. These flans actually look like flans.
Yeah.
Yeah,
They
do.
have like the little caramelized top.
Yeah, the food flan.
Yeah,
Yep.
they got like a little creme brulee look to them. Was it Alrune?
All around it. Yeah, I don't know. I was thinking about that. That's a creature that's in many a JRPG. And I actually thought about it this time because I was like, well, I'll have to say the name of it while we podcast. What the hell is like, and I didn't look it up, so I'm going to do it right now.
Alrune is a mandrake, German for mandrake. Interesting. Which is of course another like grassy kind of
Mythical.
plant-based mythical creature.
Oh, here we go. In Shin Megami Tensei, because like a lot of times the Japanese, the way they write it is like roughly the pronunciation, and they have it as Aru Raune. It's like Alraune.
Alrune.
Oh wait, here we go. The first related search pronunciation. Oh my god. Okay, it's Alraune.
Yeah, it's
Alrona.
German. Alrune.
Alraune.
Arona. I don't know why I rolled the R there.
The pronunciation that I'm listening to is thickly German.
Fuck yeah.
I'm gonna post it in the Discord so you can hear it.
Man, there's a lot of monster girls on the fucking image search for this thing.
Anyway, there's those that we fight. There's also one encounter that we get with a flan that's the same as the other flans, but bigger.
But big
Yes.
time flan.
It's just big
I think
flan.
this happens also if you get in a fight with like more than one of those flans, they can merge with each other and turn
Yeah,
into
Oh,
we've
one.
seen
really?
that happen. That's happened in the Ark as well as, and I think anywhere
man.
aside from the Flanators.
The glowy boys.
Yeah, there might have even been some case of like maybe not the Flanators.
Because that helmet ain't getting bigger.
Yeah, but some of the flans that the Flanator would heal.
They turn into a dire flan.
Yeah, the dire flan.
But yeah, they're not too bad. None of these enemies are, I would say, that challenging. I will say that everything in the Crystarium costs like 8,000 points now.
Dude,
though.
it is so expensive.
Import.
It's so expensive.
Those import costs.
and some of the stuff, like if you want to get like the new jobs that every character has, they're not. What are they? Are they paradigms? What the hell are they called? Roles. If you want to try everybody's new roles, you can start building those up for like 2,000 to 4,000 CP instead, but they only give you like HP plus 10, whereas the ones that are 8,000 CP give you like HP plus 100. So it's really not worth it to even do that because you're just
that
wasting
definitely
stats.
seems like I did that the wrong way when I first got it. I was like, oh, cool, and I was like, oh. Yeah, this is not cool. This is actually like,
Yeah.
I need to do a significant amount of grinding and planning to be able to like map out how I'm going to get like Ravager on Fang or something. Like,
Yeah.
does not
Now,
seem
I will
worth it.
say that even though everything is super fucking expensive from this point on, and at least this is my experience with it, I feel like over half of the game's fighting is yet to come, like the actual battles. So even though we're not like walking through a hallway and then just like leveling up a shit ton of stats, there are just more battles total everywhere throughout the rest of the game. So even though it feels like it's slow going, by the time you've done like the first several like little side quests or whatever, you'll be like, oh my god, I'm so strong now. I have like 1,000 more HP.
Yeah, and you also
So.
get a lot more returns off of that. Like battles are a little trickier, especially at the start. There's a bit of a difficulty curve here, but not in this section that we're talking about, but like the next section. I would say there's some encounters where you're like, oh my god, I'm not prepared for this. But like you get a lot of CP compared to what we were getting in previous chapters. So, and they're all respawning encounters, so you can kind of find out which ones you can do easily and quickly, and sort of use that to farm if you want to.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I haven't done really any farming. I've kind of just gone through the areas and fought battles. I've started skipping a lot more as well, just because there's somewhere like I don't feel like doing that right now. And I've gotten by just fine with just knowing the battle system and not really focusing too much on leveling up just yet.
Right. Yeah, same.
But
I don't
we
really
run
think
through
like
this area.
if you kind of take everything step by step from the rest of the game, like you'll be about the right level to handle anything. So you don't really need to grind until you're like doing the late game stuff, in my opinion.
Yeah, that's what it seems like to me as well.
But yeah,
After we fight the first dire flan, there's a weapon for Fang out here called a partisan.
yes.
It is a tier 1 weapon with the synthesized ability magic / physical / magic wall. It starts at level 1 with minimum physical attack power of 6 and magic power of 39.
Yeah, it seems to be highly favoring magic,
Yeah, it seems like one of the magic ones.
which is why I didn't use it.
Yeah, having a magic weapon for Fang does not seem all that helpful, given that she's
I
not a
haven't
Ravager.
looked down her Ravager route. I don't really know what's down there, but it's too expensive.
At this
It's
point, yeah,
expensive
just
to find
getting
out.
to that extra ATB gauge is pretty expensive for Fang. So
Yeah.
it's not necessarily going to be worth going for Ravager.
I will say I did double down on lightning being a Ravager now. Like I don't even think of lightning as being physical attack at all at this point.
same.
I'm just like
Absolutely. Especially I have Fang in my party as well. So I'm like, you're the commando, I'm Ravager.
Yeah. So I started not during this section, but while we're on Grand Pulse, I started actually leveling my weapons up, and I've mastered 3 weapons now. So I'm like real beefy with some numbers.
But yes, it does have physical wall, but what does that mean? I'm curious.
All right, I was looking that up, and then I was looking up Partisan.
Oh, those are like it takes a certain number of damage off of that style attack.
Oh, interesting.
So I think it's literally just HP points though. So it's just not that good anyway, because you're taking like 1,000 damage, and it's like, oh, negating 5 damage of that. Like, oh,
Ooh, a penny.
How nice. Yeah, ooh, penny.
I'm consulting the ancient tomes of game facts, and it says, I know it says it negates the first 5 points of damage, but wow, 5 damage? That is nothing. Why would you ever want a weapon or accessory with such slim benefits? I know I am missing something here. What exactly does it mean? And the first answer on that was, it doesn't seem that great, but later on there's a plus 10 and possibly a plus 15, maybe even 20. Think about this, though. A sentinel with it using Steel Guard, it'll make them take no damage sooner.
I guess.
Someone else said 5 HP can make a difference in a tough spot. I mean, this is also game facts, so I don't know why that was the
sounds
first
like
place.
clownish behavior.
You'll all be laughing once...
Yeah, you'll be laughing when I have 4 HP left.
Yeah.
I would simply not get into a position where I only had 4 HP left, so...
Yeah, just don't get hit, dude.
Just don't get
No
hit.
hit run.
All right, so anyway.
We find Hope. He's not in a well, but he is face down in a stream.
Indeed
He is surely drowned.
Yeah.
Well, that chocobo chick had to make its way all the way down on its own.
Oh, yeah, it's true.
Yeah, it's not too far for us, but for the chocobo chick, it might be.
It can fly. It zooms around pretty...
True, it does move pretty quick.
I will say I did get at a certain point, like whenever I would run through this area, I would get tired of fighting these enemies. They are all pretty easily dodgeable.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it ends up not being so challenging to dodge a lot of these enemies at this point in the game. But
this particular screen, like the Valis Media is what this place is called. It becomes quite a pain in the ass later because of just how narrow it is. And because of how long it is, a lot of these enemies will just respawn, and then you have to like backtrack and like, oh, it's these guys again.
Yeah. but as soon as the team finds Hope, that scene kind of ends, and then we are back at the camp, and it's nighttime, right? There's a roaring fire going.
Rip
Looks
roaring.
nice and cozy.
Everyone's real dour. Everyone's really sad. Real sad,
I'll tell you,
you might say.
I'm sure I talked about this after I did it, but the last time I went camping, the only thing I remember doing is literally just tending a fire for like 4 days straight.
Oh, yeah.
Because like
It's the
I
only
didn't
thing
want to
you
go
can
do anything else. So I was just like, no, this is where it's at, actually. So like we would have it going all night, and the first thing we would do in the morning is set the fire up. We'd be like, hey, you want to go fishing? We're like, yeah, we could go fishing, or we could keep this fire going. And everybody would just sit around and keep the fire going all day.
Probably real easy when you have Fyra.
That's right.
That's a good point.
You don't see them using their abilities outside the battles as much as I'd
Snow
like to.
did that one time when he knocked down a sign.
Oh, yeah.
But yeah, so Hope's still knocked out. Vanille's kind of like watching over him.
So this is how it ends. Just wait. Now, how long has it been since we left Cocoon? Not a single soul for miles around? Not a single clue about this whole sea mess. What I'm saying is, we did well just getting this far.
And that seems like weird writing, because I don't know where Saz is coming down on it. Because he's like, hey, don't be so down. That's my job.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It seems, again, like you were saying, clunky and all that. This also just kind of seems like whiplash of like emotions where they're like, oh, okay, well, whatever. I'm going to keep doing, making Sarah proud and fighting against fate and all of that. And it's just like, oh no, Hope is sleeping. I guess we have to just give up now. I mean, I know that they're on a place where they don't really have anything that they can do. They've been looking around. I guess that's kind of what they're trying to get at. Like
they all got brand at the same time, whatever. And
yeah,
so
they searched high and wide. They're finding nothing in this place, and they're just like, oh, well, we made it this far. That's pretty good.
That's something I didn't appreciate the first several times I played it too. I don't think I ever really realized before like actually diving into the data logs, where it says that Fang and Vanille were in their crystal stasis for possibly hundreds of years. Mm-hmm. And I never really thought about how like you get to Pulse and they're like, oh yeah, there's not a soul around. Like we like spent all day looking for people trying to find like signs of life. There is no one here. And it's like, oh my God, has it been that long? Like were there like tons of people when Fang and Vanille originally fought against Cocoon, and now just like all of Pulse has been exterminated? Like, is that what happened? It's very
it's very interesting. Like we're only in a small portion of what seems to be a very massive, continent or planet. But yeah, I'd be interested to hear what Vanille and Fang have to say about it.
It would be very disturbing to know, like, if you could just like flash forward for an instant, just 100 years from today, and be like, oh, all humanity fades away in 100 years? I guess I can believe it, but that's quite a bummer.
Everyone I know is gone and long gone. Oh, damn.
Yeah, and there's not a single human survived it. Oh, that's not good.
So Cocoon won the war, I guess, of
Who
transgression.
knows? Yeah.
But yeah, Vanille kind of shakes everyone out of it by saying, but we could go a little further.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, she kind of is like, we could go a little further. And Fang is like, Vanille, like, I don't think you want to say what you're getting ready to say.
Yeah,
Are
she's
you
like,
sure?
are you sure? Yeah. And Vanille like nods and says, I'm sure.
And yeah, Lightning says,
You know, if we don't find anything this time, we won't get another chance.
mhm.
Urba, the place it all began.
Hope says this. Hope wakes up out of his
right.
sleep and says, Erba, the place it all began. Which, like, wait, why?
Yeah.
How would Hope know that? Did he have like a
Maybe
fucking
his focus? I don't know.
Place where the Pulse Fal'Cie lay dreaming. Vanille and Fang's
Maybe he had
home.
like a vision or something when he drank that coconut juice and got too fucked up.
Yeah. Are we to like just like believe that Hope is now psychic? Like that's just a development that happened off screen, and now we're just like, oh, he's psychic. It's fine.
Hope drank too much sake.
Yeah.
He had 1 cup. It's too much. Not to be confused with 1 cup sake, which is a type of sake that you can get.
But yeah, he says the place where the Pulse Fal'Cie lay dreaming.
Fang and Vanille's home.
Yeah. Just maybe it will be the place we'll find the answers that we're looking for. And Fang's like, yeah, right, if we can get there.
Mm-hmm.
And like Hope is like injured or whatever. Like whatever happened to him, like with his brand where he passed out.
Yeah, he's got a tummy ache.
He's got a really bad tummy ache and he can't seem to move very well. And he's like, yeah, you should just go ahead without me. And he's kind of chill about it. He sounds like resigned in a way where he's like, just go on without me. It'll be fine. And Vanille's like, no, we can't leave you. And he goes, no, I'll be fine. Y'all taught me a bunch and showed me how to fight. You know, it's fine. Like I've lived a good life. It was cool.
The ripe
Don't
old
worry
age of
about it.
12. I've had it.
Yeah.
Long and happy life. But Snow's like, what did I tell you? Leave the fighting to me. He's like, you guys taught me how to fight. Snow's like, shut the fuck up, dude.
I also wrote in my notes here, which I've written before, but when Snow stands next to Hope and like kind of he like holds him for a second, doesn't he? He says, what did I tell you? Leave the fighting to me. And I just wrote in my notes again, God damn, Snow real tall.
Snow is so goddamn tall.
He's a big man.
He's like 7 feet.
He's like 7 feet
Yeah, he's
tall.
like 7'9".
And I know this, and we've talked about it, but every time I see him stand next to like Hope or Vanille, I'm just like, God, what a mammoth.
He's
what
like
a
as
big
tall
dude.
as an adamantoise, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, you see like the adamantoise over top of the chocobos, and then like the giant Fal'Cie, it picks up the adamantoise, and then you see Snow pick up the giant and then eat the giant. He real big.
Yeah, Lightning says, we understand. You're not going to go through this ordeal alone, you know. And Hope says, but that's what scares me. I don't want to see you get hurt because of me. It would be better for everyone if I just stayed behind.
Yeah, and he kind of screams at it. It'd be better for everybody if I just stayed behind. And that causes his Eidolon to come
This one,
out.
I guess, makes a little bit more sense than Fang, just because, I mean, he's coming off of...
He's become very defeatist.
Yeah, but I
his,
also think that this one comes very much out of nowhere because,
well,
like,
for sure,
we've already
passed
had
out by
this
the
character
river.
arc.
Yeah,
The last scene was like, my dad told me to keep fighting.
Exactly. We've already had this character arc for Hope. It's already happened, and then he just has to have it again real quick.
I guess like everyone's just feeling real.
Maybe
bummed
it's been
that they're,
maybe it's been like a full week, and everyone's just like, this isn't gonna work out, guys.
Yeah, like, oh, we thought we were doing something good, and now we're just in the fucking Badlands and have no...
It's the first day of camp, and like, I want to go home.
Well, it's like you were saying earlier, Carl, and we didn't even have to mention it. I knew exactly what you were talking about when you were like, yeah, there seems like there were places when certain characters' Eidolons should have appeared and didn't. Because, like, the scene where he's like getting ready to stab
murder
Snow. That would have been such a good place for it, because like that's the point of his desperation.
Then he would have gotten the Eidolon and then successfully murdered Snow.
We unlocked the good ending.
Yeah, and then the game designers are like, well, do we have to like picking a party leader was still kind of like out of the question for a few more chapter or two.
Yeah,
so, like,
it's very interesting.
having Hope
like,
be the leader.
This one. When I say it's like it seems less forced than Fang's, I don't mean that that's like the good, that it's a good one. It's still like a very weak one. But you know, like him being afraid of having other people around him get hurt. Like his big trauma is that he watched his mom die, you know? So he doesn't want to see that happen again, and he doesn't want it to happen because of him.
That happened like 3 days ago, dude.
Yeah, get over it, dude. Yeah. So I think if I remember correctly, didn't Snow like try handing him a gun or something, and he was like no, and then his mom took it and something. So
at the very
he might be like, oh,
yeah,
I am unable to fight. This is just like the time that I was unable to fight, and my mom took over for me. And then I don't want to see you guys getting killed.
It definitely doesn't like not make sense that he feels this way. Like at least that's
it's not
there.
Just like Fang being like, oh, I guess I'll fight you guys because I'm really all about this cocoon thing, like bringing it down. And
until Lightning's like, hey, have you thought about not being about destroying cocoon?
Yeah,
she's like, oh damn, you know what, you're right.
Oh, I haven't made up my mind yet.
But yeah, either way though, it's fine.
But yeah, we got another cool Eidolon scene with a cool crest or whatever on the ground. Mm-hmm. A sigil.
Do we have some Latin translation for?
Yeah, so I love that the unlike the other glyphs, which are kind of more round and flowery, this is very like angular.
Oh, I didn't even notice that.
Almost like it's kind of cool. Everything's like rectangles and almost like
it's all squares and
like a headstone or something. But yes, on the glyphs and such, it does say again. This is Alexander.
Shocking.
Yeah. It says, by the grace of Etros, stand fast your walls of stern judgment. Come forth, fortress of sanctity.
Fortress of Sanctity is such a good Protest the Hero album.
Fortified virtue, shattered iniquity. A name is blood, a pact of light. Alexander shall rise, his bond eternal and unyielding.
In darkest days and blackest night, Alexander
I do like that that does seem to like track with Alexander from all the different Final Fantasies. He is very much a wall in some games. That is what he casts, kind of thing, you know what I mean? So
yeah, and if you're familiar with other Final Fantasy games that feature Alexander, when you see this, you will say what I said. Oh shit, is that Alexander? And sure enough,
if you're familiar
much like we did with Bahamut, where I was like, oh, that's Bahamut. Like
for my shows.
They're playing all the
hits.
If
you're familiar with Final Fantasy IX, you'll say, is that Alexander the best summon in the entire series and the coolest thing that's ever been in a Final Fantasy?
Is Alexander like a giant city in that, or am I misremembering?
Oh, I don't want to tell you. It's so good. Let me just say, of all the summon and Eidolon things in all of Final Fantasy, Alexander in 9 is my favorite. That's my favorite
I think I've
reveal.
gotten that before, but it's been so long since I've played that I need to revisit.
Oh, it's so good. I cannot wait to do it. You want to do that one for the next season? There you go. You heard it here first. FF9 next season.
I do want to do F9 next season, honestly.
I kind of miss those PS1 graphics.
Oh, yeah.
Who doesn't? I love this graphics.
But yeah, it's funny. Fang kind of takes a little bit of issue with this, given that last scene with her. She goes, mention ordeals and look what comes along. She's like, oh, these fucking guys again.
Yeah, just have. They won't leave us alone.
When it rains, it pours. These fucking guys won't shut up. You know?
Yeah, and Lightning says, this is not an ordeal. This is a gift. And she's like ready to fight. And she says, hope. This is the kind of power you've got inside. And it's telling you not to give up. Trust me.
Yeah, and I think what Fang says, it's here to show you the way.
Yeah, she like jumps up and has her weapon out as well. And she show you that you've got what it takes to get back on your feet and do this thing. Yeah, and Hope's surprised somehow, even though this is what, our fucking fifth
one. I was going to point this thing out too.
Where this came from me? It's like, yes, dude.
You've been here for so many.
You're the first one who mentioned Eidolons. He's the one who knew about Eidolons.
You just talked about
when Lightning got her. It's like, oh
yeah, he was the one who knew.
You had a psychic vision of Erba or whatever. Like you know more than anyone else in this game, you little fucking dork. Like, what do you mean? Like, oh, I'm actually strong.
I forgot about that, Alex. I forgot that when Lightning gets hers, Hope is the one that's like, oh yeah, Eidolons come from within you. Like, he had to explain it to Lightning, and now he's like, yo, what the fuck is happening?
He's got a real bad tummy ache, I guess. There's pulse coconuts, dude.
Mood, to be honest. He also had some McDonald's before he went to bed.
Never a good move.
I'm sure the sake on the fucking ship is not been there a long time.
Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah,
that shit is so hard it'll make you have visions of the place it all began.
Got fucking wasted and fell in a river.
It's good. But yeah, we fight Alexander and
it's fucking cool. It's
Yeah, no,
gold
he's
and
really cool.
Blue, I think. It's hard to tell what color it is because of the lighting in the scenes at nighttime.
He's got a cool little like kingly face.
Yeah, he does, indeed.
Yeah, it looks like a helmet. He's a boxy looking boy.
I just looked up Alexander.
Kind of reminds me of like the old Japanese like war armor, but just completely like bulked up.
When he descends from the sky to fight us, he falls like a like kind of classic Gundam mechs do, like when they
Nice.
fall out of their like a what do you call them, like little chutes or whatever. Like I think it's been happening since like early Gundam. But I noticed that he's like kind of a big robot in a way.
Yeah, he does. He even has like an arm like gun attack that he does.
Yeah, like a rocket punch.
Yeah, he's just completely still with his arms at his side, and he rockets down real
I
quick.
like that he sometimes like does a little bit of like come at me kind of thing with his hands, like a little just lazily like, yeah, come at me, bro.
He has a move called Lofty Challenge where he kind of goes like, come at me, and then he just stands there, and while he does take less damage, his gauge feels all the same. So he just gives you like a free 15 seconds to build gauge, and you only need like one Lofty Challenge to beat him. Like, so as soon as he does Lofty Challenge, you're just like, oh, throw everything we got at him, and like you can
he has
just
a
beat him
fucking rocket
immediately.
fist too. Yeah.
He's got two fist moves. Let me see what they're both called.
Blast Punch, Explosive Fist, and
Yeah,
a
there's
double
blast
punch.
punch, which is his right arm. He kind of points at you and just shoots his fist at you. And then there's explosive fist, where it's the same thing with the left hand, but then it causes an explosion. He kind of looks a little bit like a cool Captain Crunch. The more I look at him, like a Chadley Captain Crunch. He's gonna crunchitize us.
What's on his pauldrons? They almost look like just like a series of like little grenades or something. That are
Oh,
on his,
maybe
like-
they are. They have like little rings, like pens you can pull. He also has some text on his penis.
They don't have those. Falsi doesn't have penises.
Lofty challenge.
Valsy don't have penis. Wait, hold on. Let me zoom into that penis. Let's see what that says.
That peener.
It looks like is that in Japanese? It doesn't look like it's in like
It's probably in the more of the Etro font.
does that look very Japanese? Oh, it's slightly I can't quite tell what it says.
Probably just says Alexander again, honestly, because that's just how it is.
It probably does say Alexander again because the symbol for in, which I thought looks like the me symbol in Japanese, is in the position where the in would be in the name Alexander. So that probably is correct.
Nice. He's got a move called Soaring Uppercut that he used on Fang while she was in what's it called, Sentinel. So I'm assuming that probably just launches you into the air, but it did not for her.
Interesting.
Oh, I actually see another time where I think I do see someone get launched. Let me see. Had a paradigm shift, Soaring Uppercut, and there they go. Yep.
And there they go.
And that's the ball game.
Going, gone.
Sag.
But yeah, I don't know. Did you all like? I kind of melted through this guy. I think.
Yeah, this didn't really take long for me. It felt like another free Eidolon for me.
Yeah.
I got a game over on the first one after getting very close to Gestalt. Oh, I guess I got a second game over where he just immediately like started the battle and beat the shit out of Hope and like did all of his damage and did like 2 attacks in a row. I was like in the middle of a paradigm shift and he just slams his fist down on Hope and killed him. But yeah, I don't think I really had too much. I did do some leveling up between attempts, but I don't remember there being too much of a challenge with this one. I think it's literally just like at this point you're pretty good at building chain. So
Let us talk about his Gestalt mode though, because it's wild.
Right. It turns into a fucking wall.
There's like a whole bunch of I didn't know if it was trying to be this or not. I thought it looked like a bunch of rook pieces from chess.
that's
it's
that's
like
what I thought as well.
The kind of the crown turrets, I forget what we call them. We talked about this, I think, we're in some other game, maybe even in 4. We're just like talking about what's the area between the parts you shoot from, the parts you hide behind.
Oh, that's
Like,
right.
there's
Yeah.
Little slots. But yeah, they basically look like a bunch of chess pieces. A series of 6 of them kind of form around him, and they kind of interlock or something like that.
Yeah. And instead of like Hope really doesn't ride Alexander like the other ones, he kind of just like hangs off the side of him. You know what I mean?
Yeah, he just kind of like sits like on its chest in a weird way. Just kind of like stands there.
Yeah.
I'm curious to see how it plays in battle. And like
I don't think I've ever used Alexander, and I think I'm gonna do that the next time I turn the game on and like see how it actually goes.
Yeah, I'm curious to see how that plays out.
I've heard someone say that they're not really sure what the deal with Alexander is, like someone who has played this game more than I have. And they were saying, like, I don't know if it's, like, you would think it's a defensive Eidolon, but they're like, I don't know if it's actually offensive or defensive. Like, it's been kind of hard to get a handle on, apparently. So I'm sure we can probably, in the coming weeks, like, do more research on each individual Eidolon, because we'll have access to all of them, and we can kind of talk about their strengths and weaknesses. Because I was thinking about it, like, I was doing some, like, optional boss fights and stuff, like, after these, this section, and I was like, oh yeah, I could easily just probably summon like Bahamut or like Odin or something, and do, like, for me it's just like the summon I never really think about using the summons.
Yeah, me neither.
Oh yeah, and on each of the rook pieces, there's the front, there's these kind of beautiful, like, you can't tell because the scene takes place at night, that there's like these kind of porcelain statues kind of mounted onto the side of them as well. It's like very church-like again.
Yeah,
which it's actually closest to like Barthandelus that we've seen out of all of our Eidolons.
Yeah, we got ourselves our own Barthandelus now.
Yeah, but yeah, so we beat him. He's not too challenging.
Yeah,
and at the end, like the party members are like congratulating Hope. You know, Saz,
you're a man now.
Yeah, that's some beast you tamed. I'll tell you that.
Yeah.
And Hope says, I always thought the Eidolons appeared to set us free through death, but now I think maybe they're here to snap us out of our slump. And Snow says, "Oh, like the one." Funk. Yeah. Snow says, "Oh, like the one you were just in." And Hope kind of laughs, and he's like, "Oh, I'll ask for help earlier next time." And then Vanille says, "I told you on Grand Pulse we're all family." And no, you did not. No, you did never say that. That is the first time you said that. That is a lie.
Or maybe she did. Maybe we can talk about that a little later.
There's a scene later about whether or not it matters.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
I like that Saz says, "Yeah, you're never alone in hell." And
I wrote that down. I was like, "That's
Fang
so
walks
dark."
up and she's fucking pissed. She's like, "Listen, funny man, don't call this place hell, all right?" He's like afraid of her. He like backs up and shit.
Vanille forgot that she used to work at Olive Garden. That's where she got the "we're all family."
And we hear some narration from Vanille.
You're gonna like the way you look.
We hear some narration from Vanille that says, maybe nothing would change, and maybe we'd hit a dead end, but we were at least going to see where the road would take us. The search for a home buried in the past, and the faintest glimmer of hope. Our final journey had just begun. Ooh, it's good.
Good stuff. Our final fantasy had finally begun 13th time.
Yeah, and I think that kind of begins the next chapter / portion of the game, right?
Yeah. It's smooth sailing from here. Only
it's all hell from here.
Yeah, 2 quick chapters left, and we are good, and we're done this game, baby. And then we can move on to Final Fantasy IX.
Do you want to talk about the very next scene?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
Down if y'all are.
But yeah, so the screen comes up, and we should say when we go looking for Hope, there's one pathway that's blocked off from rubble. We didn't really mention that, but the game isn't really leading you over there.
It's such a short segment too. Like
it's so small. So yeah, so that area that's blocked off, if you were able to walk that way, you would get to where the next scene begins. So you can go right back and forth between these 2 areas.
There's going to be a lot of going back and forth between areas in the coming weeks of this podcast. I accidentally kept walking back to the area that we were in at camp, and I was like, "Hey, is this where the ship was where we landed?" And every time I did it, because this is a very large area, and I have a bad sense of direction, so I've just been like, "Oh, this is our camp. Oh, I didn't realize I was It's starting to click now after like 7 hours of playing through this."
Yeah.
Also, is there a way to make the map like locked so it's always north is always
I
north?
don't know. I was thinking that myself.
It would be extremely helpful.
Because like, oh yeah, our crash site is on the south of the map, but every time I pull up the map, it's oriented to however the camera is. So it's like, this doesn't help me.
I don't like that Alex asked if there's a way to do that with the map, because when he was watching my playthrough of it, he kept seeing me go into the menu and go down several prompts and open the map by hitting like X on the menu, and then he was like, you can just hit like the square button to open your, and I was like, oh my god, dude, I'm like 35 hours into this game. I still have not enabled.
Imagine if I did not notice you doing it the wrong way and you were doing like this whole open world section without.
It would have really tempered my opinion of it.
Well, speaking of which, before let's discuss that. Because the next scene,
It's like the fucking Calmlands, baby, except it's not very calm looking.
No, there's a bunch of...
we see the party. We see the Lassie walking toward the camera, right? And Hope kind of runs ahead of them, and he has like some wonder on his eyes. And the camera turns around, we see what he's looking at, and it is a giant expanse. There is just things in all direction, and yet a long way in between all the things. And
we see
this
a
area
lot
is-
of enemies too, just kind of patrolling, like not just ones on the ground, but ones flying around. And
There's a lot of shit in the sky in this.
There's
area.
animals running, like they're just like running through like packs of beasts or whatever.
yeah, we
It's-
get the
it's
title
wild.
card, The Archlit Step of Grand
Is that how you
Pulse.
pronounce it? I don't know.
I guarantee you I pronounced it correctly. Everyone should listen to my...
I'm missing Arclight, but
I was calling it Arclight, but then I noticed that the Y
Oh, I think
and
I
the
said the
L are in other-
Archie-lit at one point.
Yeah,
like Archie
Archie-lit.
Comics.
Archil.
Sabrina's in there, you know.
Arcillet.
Veronica, Jughead.
If you know how to pronounce this word,
Maybe it's Arcult. I don't know.
write in.
They're Urkeled.
But yeah, like you said, Alex, this game is now open world, baby. It has changed.
And this game is suddenly going to give us missions, which, as we see our party that we know and love walking through this expanse, there's a very strange looking thing just kind of laying on the ground. It's like a statue.
Disc.
It's a
It's like a
CD-ROM with
discus.
with a cool crystal on it.
Yeah. And it's it kind of just starts floating. And
I love this crystal design. It literally looks like a really like
it would make a cool tattoo.
a beautiful piece of like turquoise with an etched in, like it looks like someone carved it like a scrimshaw.
Yeah, it looks like there's like an ivory statue of like almost like a woman in it with like crystal parts like sticking up out of it.
It's reminiscent of like the faith, like
yes.
in 10 when we see the people like kind of like on the floor. I forget what you call it, right?
That's the faith, right? We learn in this conversation too that like basically what they are is they are Lassie who instead of turning to crystal have turned to stone instead, and so they kind of resemble.
Not just it's a type of Seath. So this is the final evolution of a Seath, where after just wandering mindlessly and not getting killed, it will eventually turn into this stone called a Seath stone.
It'll just harden, yeah.
But it's less like monstrous.
Yeah, it's
like
very beautiful.
Yeah, and I kind of like that about this game. I don't know if this is like intentional or not, but I do like that there is this finality to wandering around as a Seath monster that, like, while terrible, because Vanille, when she's talking about him, she says that, like, even in this state, they can't forget their tasks, so they're still filled full of regret, which is sad, but, like, there's something nice about them not being a monstrous beast wandering the world, killing things
a
forever.
wandering somnambulate.
They are laid to rest, but they are still kind of just like I am before I go to sleep, just like constantly thinking of all this shit I have to do.
Thinking about that thing I said in third grade that was super embarrassing, and I'm like, no.
And Fang says here what they do is once they become stone like this, they call out to other Lassie to complete their focus. And so we're given like reason to help them, right? Like this is basically the game's mission system. These are quests now that we can pick up and do. And I like that like it's hooked into the lore of the world that we're essentially like setting these people free from their focus that they're now never able to complete because they are turned to stone.
They're basically in a purgatory, and we're trying to like shepherd them on to like the afterlife or whatever.
So I want everyone to recall a classic film from, I believe it was 1994. It was called Casper, based off of Casper the Friendly Ghost. In this
is smelly
movie,
or whatever, it's stinky.
Yeah. So there was Fatso, there was Stinky, and there was Stretch. They were the mean uncle ghosts. However, the ghost lore of that world is that there was a thing known as unfinished business, and a ghost could not pass on to the afterlife if it had unfinished business. That's basically what the Seath Stones are. We got to finish that unfinished business, so
we have to complete the
Bill
Lazarus
Pullman's
machine.
wife can bring them to the afterlife or whatever the fuck.
yeah, exactly. But yeah, so we're then able to start like interfacing with the mission system.
Yeah. Once you complete enough missions, Devon Sawa comes out as a human, but he only has an hour to dance with you at the slow dance.
I do think it's kind of cute that Snow like kind of chimes like, "Hey, we should help this one out. Come on, we can't just ignore it." He's like really like feeling very like sympathetic for this like poor little rock.
His hero senses are flaring up.
Yeah.
But listen, if we fail our focus, we could end up suffering like that. And so he's just like, like we're no better, if we just let them fail their focus. We should like complete everyone's focus.
Yeah. And Saz says, "Wow, what a happy thought. That's not like you." And then Lightning says, "But going out of his way to help somebody, that's Snow all over."
God damn right. Just why he's great.
And then we're able to enjoy the bounty of the open world.
Yeah, now we're able to do whatever we want. And everyone who's complained about hallways now gets to have that fly back in their face a little bit. Because
FF13 too linear, FF13 not linear enough. And I am sure that we will have a ton to say about the next section of the game. Speaking of which, so I think the way we're going to do this, we talked about this a little bit, right? And if you're playing along with us, you're probably like, what in the world are they going to do? So I think we're going to start hitting the cutscene points and the various locations in the direction that the missions would take you. Because this one in front of you is mission 1 when you start out. And if you follow them, they all kind of end right next to the next one that you need to pick up. And it does a pretty good job of like giving you the tour of Grand Pulse if you do everything in order. So I think maybe the way we'll do the Grand Pulse section of the game is to do like chunks of missions. We in the Discord we discussed doing the next 8 for the first part, which would probably be pretty good. That would give us a lot to talk about, like the different areas and what makes them cool and the various enemies, and we'd end up in an important location, right? So I think that's maybe how we'll do the next episode if you're playing along with us.
I think there's like 4 to 5 different like major areas on
there's
Pulse
several,
before we get to like the next story section, right?
You can go right to the next story area. You can just be like, nah, fuck this, run across the way and just go to the mines and go on to the next area if you want. But
I was thinking about this whole mechanic about, like completing a lessee that did not fulfill their focus, doing that for them, and I just thought about how like the Republicans of this world would be like, why should our hardworking lessee have to do the jobs of the lazy sea stones? Like you're trying to use my limited time to fulfill my focus to fulfill your focus.
This will also be good. This will also be good practice for how in the world we tackle FF15 when we do that one.
Oh boy, yeah.
How do you do that? But yeah, so I think that's where we're going to end it today, yeah?
Yeah, I think the only other thing that I want to point out is as I was going through some data logs, I was thinking about how difficult it's going to be to pronounce a lot of the locations here
my goodness.
for me personally, because I'm dumb. But I noticed another word that I thought was very, very interesting. Do you know what the plural for focus is?
I wrote it down in my notes. I literally wrote it in my notes.
Fucking mind, because it
I
says
know.
like
I saw it and I was like, "Get the fuck!" I just like I know that you believe me, but I want to show you my notes so that like
yeah. So it just literally it's like multiple, and it just says this. It's not like the plural of focus is this. It just says it in context where it's talking about multiple focuses.
It's actually pronounced as if you're a lessee that's just trying to like sleep with someone. They're a fucksy.
Is that how you pronounce it?
No.
I was going to say like you'd double blow my mind if that was the case.
Yeah, it's instead of it, like fungus, the plural of fungus is fungi. It's the same thing with a focus. It's a foci.
Or is it foci?
Or foci. Pronunciation.
Like octopi.
I definitely wrote that down too, though. I'm glad you brought that up.
I saw that. That blew my fucking mind. I thought that was really
so clearly, to find that out, you were looking through the data logs, and the game brings it up in the next section, and they drop it on you a little bit like it's a surprise. But if you read Vanille's data logs at exactly this point, you can just read what the next twist is, because it already is in Vanille's thing.
It's pronounced foci?
Is it foci?
No, it's not. Bullshit.
That's what Merriam-Webster says.
Merriam-Webster can fucking suck my dick.
Well, I guess we're never getting sponsored by a dictionary.
Yeah.
I'm an encyclopedia Grammatica type guy. I had to think of which one was the website and which one was the
the actual like book encyclopedia.
Yeah, I think I said it correctly. The Britannica. Yeah. Not the Dramatica. Anyway, so we're on Grand Pulse and we got a lot to do.
A lot to do.
And yeah, if you're playing along at home, I think I've played like 10 hours since here and I'm on mission like number 11. So
I think that this area is probably 2 good episodes worth. I think we can spend about 2 episodes on the step. Yeah. So we'll see you on Grand Pulse, listener.
This area is definitely making me regret playing on PS3, just in the sense of like I have a Steam Deck now, and I'm like, oh my god, this area would be so sick to just be like laying in bed and not able to sleep and just like running around and grinding through it a bit.
Yeah,
that would be sick. Well, Alex, would you like to complete the focus that we were unable to complete, having turned to stone now?
Yeah, I guess I would. Thank you to Masashi Amauzi for the game music. Be sure to leave us a review or rate us on iTunes and Spotify if you so wish. You can also do the same on our YouTube channel, which we are also publishing our episodes. Join the discussion there. You can leave us a message or text us at 530-MATERIA. You can find us at EveryFNFF on Twitter, Instagram, and join our Discord. And is a pod wild and fragile, vibrant and uncast.
Goodbye.
See ya.
See you in hell.
Do we have some Latin translation for...
I was just saying, give me 30 seconds. I have to run upstairs.
Sure.
Okay. You're going to go get the Ultimania.
Okay, so while Alex is gone, I'm going to explain to you why it makes no sense that Gandalf could just call the Eagles from their homeland, wherever that may be. I also didn't read Lord of the Rings.
No, I'm ready for this. Go ahead.
I
Alex,
didn't
leave
read
this
Lord
in.
of the Rings. I just heard people talking about it after the fact, because I also thought that was really stupid. But yeah, they have like their own like legions and stuff like that, and like when they saved Gandalf at the top of the tower or whatever, it was because they owed him a favor because he had done something for them.
Okay.
So they like the war between like Mordor and Gondor meant nothing to them. They're like, whatever, we care about the skies. Like they didn't realize that it also would affect them. I guess.
Are those 2 countries just named the amount of doors that they have?
More doors and less doors. Yeah, I
Mordor
no
and
idea.
Gondor. It's like, oh, the doors are all gone. We don't have
Yeah,
them anymore.
all our doors are gone.
That's
We
why they're at
cannot
war
get
with each
any
other.
more doors. But yeah, I'm sure there's definitely a smarter explanation of it and stuff. But it's like they are like beings that
That
have
makes
no
sense.
stake in it and stuff. And they're like, well, we're not going to fucking risk our neck to carry this little dude and start like an aggressive thing with Mordor. Like they haven't
Yeah,
done
that makes
shit
sense.
to us. Like, you know.
No, I hear you. I think that actually makes sense.
But yeah, and
And,
the movie just didn't
What'd I
go
miss?
into any of that.
Yeah,
nothing
I guess
important.
how could it? So you have to leave all of that in, Alex. When you listen
You
back to
don't.
it,
You
all of that
absolutely
has to
don't.
stay.
I'm excited to hear all that.
I'm excited for you to be disappointed when you hear it.